Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. It's a cold day here today, we're in Essex, and I'm going to talk about what I hate about this car, but also what I love about this car. So stay tuned, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and all that jazz. So, 5 things I love and 5 things I hate about this car. Little caveat, I don't really hate anything, but there's some dislikes there for sure. We'll start with what we love, okay? So obviously number 1, the engine, right? It's kind of the main thing of this car.
Is this a love or a hate? Sorry.
This is a love,
right.
The engine, you know, 4 litre V8, high revving, 8,500 RPM, motorsport derived, all of that.
Right.
You know, if this car didn't have the engine, it'd just be a 3 Series with a nice chassis, right? You won't see one of these kind of engines again in an M3. So yeah, that's my favourite thing about the car. And then kind of linked to the engine, I guess, point number 2 is the noise.
Thanks for that.
Sorry about that. The noise, okay. Even with a standard exhaust, these things sound pretty fucking good. Yeah, noise. This has got a Remus exhaust on it, so it's a little bit noisier, but not too chabby. Like right now, it's not too bad, is it?
No, it's not. There's no drone either, which is a good
drone, and really it only comes alive when you're like high up in the rev range, so you can poodle about. Which kind of brings me on to another point. It's kind of 2 cars in one, in a sense. When you're, say, just with my girlfriend driving wherever, you can just put it in 6th gear and it is just like a normal 3 Series, and it's just pretty chilled. And then you just put it down a few gears and it kind of transforms. So that's another point I love. Point number 4, what do I love, is actually I like the way it looks. My specific M3 is probably a 7 out of 10, but if you were to get all the nice like competition wheels and like all the nice little diffusers and carbon bits and the nice little lip spoilers and have spaces and stuff, I think you can make these look really, really nice. And we were just saying, actually inside it still feels pretty good for like a 15-year-old car. I guess this is quite a clean one inside, but I think the interior's kind of stood the test of time as well. So for a 15-year-old car, all good. And the final point, which might surprise some people that I love about this car, is actually the reliability.
Pardon?
I know, right? It hasn't. I've had it for nearly 2 years, and nothing has gone wrong. I need to
touch wood, yeah.
The only things that have gone wrong are like things that aren't the car's fault, like a puncture and shit. Like these cars are on the forums and like word of mouth and stuff are meant to be like really unreliable. They break down. Rod bearings this. I've got the rod bearings done as peace of mind. Yeah, I don't really have to worry about that. But
I do find though that when you're on the forums, people only tend to put the negative stuff, not the positive stuff. Yeah. So I joined the new RS3 one recently, and for all intents and purposes, if you looked at that, you think it was the most unreliable car in the world.
Yeah,
but it's
people
not.
Only post them when things go wrong, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're worried about reliability of these cars, I'm only talking from experience. It's done 62,000 miles. I've done, I don't know, more than 10,000 I think in it, and I've had no hiccups.
That's the 5 things you love. Thank you very much.
So this brings us on to the 5 things I hate about this car. And number 1, the biggest thing I don't like about this car is that it's got no power down low. If you're, which happens quite a lot, say you're in 4th gear at like 40 and you just need to nip, you know, in front of somebody or do something, you put your foot down, and I've been gapped by Fiat 500s, so there's nothing down low. So then naturally you have to kind of really string it out to get the most out of it. But when you're doing that, you look like a bit of a tit because it's just really loud and you just wanted to nip somewhere and you just look like a chav. So that's kind of my main gripe. But at the same time, it's quite a nice thing as well, because part of the enjoyment is, you know, stringing it out to like 8,000 RPM. Okay, point number 2, it's probably an obvious one, miles per gallon. It is shocking on fuel. I don't think I've ever got it above 20. Yeah, if you're doing a lot of commuting, it's probably not the right car for you. But if you're just using it as a weekend car, that's not as big a deal. But yeah, it's awful on fuel. Point number 3 is, I think it's a little bit heavy, to be honest. I think even the newer M3 is probably, I think the F80 is probably even lighter than this. So I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think this is a bit of a lardy one. I'll have to check, but definitely it's heavier than the E46. Could do with being a little bit lighter. Point number 4 is, I've got the manual, and although it's nice changing gears, it isn't the nicest feeling gear change. Like, I've had better feeling gear changes in is it still going?
Yeah, what's beeping?
That was whenever it gets to 11, like the hour, it beeps.
What?
I know, it's just to remind you. It's
what, 11 o'clock specifically?
No, on the hour. So like every time, like if it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, it just do that little beep. It's weird, isn't it?
That's mad.
The first time I did it, I was like, what's wrong with the car? Like, something's wrong, it's beeping at me. But no, it's just the clock.
That's a Brucey bonus for this video, isn't it?
There you go, yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the gear shift, right?
Yeah.
I've had like a lot of cars that are nowhere near as sporty as this, like diesel Golfs and stuff, have a nicer gear change. Especially like when it's warm, it's not as bad. When it's cold, it's like awful. It's really first, second gear not very good. Like going from third down to second is a bit. Yeah, it's not a perfect.
Can you get a short shift kit or anything for it?
You can get a different. People put their M5 gear knobs on them, which has got, I guess, I don't know, different weights and stuff.
Right.
It's not awful, but it's not amazing. I think a lot of BMW gear shifts are the same, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't actually. Was that number 4? I haven't got number 5.
I think that was 5, wasn't it? Oh!
That's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Number 5 is, what do I hate about this car? It's my own, well, it's the person that owned it before me's own doing. It's too low.
Yeah, it's too low, yeah.
It's too low. So I have to go over speed bumps sideways, which is really embarrassing. And I live in London and there's loads of the humps, you know, the ones that you
Sleeping policemen or whatever they're called.
And most cars can just go straight over, but I have to go one wheel and I just look like a charm. And